Good morning to you, Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here with your Hurricane and Hurricane HD video blog for Thursday, August 9th, 2012. A quick look at the Atlantic Basin as a whole. We see 92L sitting out here. Pretty good area of dry air still sitting around, enveloping around, whatever you want to call it, in the eastern Atlantic. Keeping a lid on things overall. We don't see very much in the way of deep convection or shower and thunderstorm activity. You notice how the leftovers of Florence have more oranges and reds here than does 92L. Then, of course, we have Ernesto about to make landfall along the extreme southern Bay of Campeche. A close-up shot of Ernesto, the center of circulation now moving inland over Mexico. It'll continue to move west towards the higher elevations over here, and that center of circulation, the low-level sort of skeleton, if you will get torn up and broken into pieces quite literally by the high terrain of Mexico. However, this moisture will get wrung out over that high terrain. That's the bad side of it. So the possibility of mudslides and flash flooding will be an issue for portions of Mexico, and then hopefully this will die out fairly quickly, and that'll be that for Ernesto. In the tropical Atlantic, looking at 92L, a fairly decent curved band of convection trying to wrap in, but only on the south and southwest side. A nice vigorous circulation overall, but dry air and a stable atmosphere out here, keeping the proverbial lid on development. The latest ship's model, the statistical hurricane prediction model, not the dynamical models. That's a little bit more complicated and complicated to explain. But the ship's model, the simple statistical hurricane model, does indicate that this will become a tropical storm as it heads towards the general direction of the Lesser Antilles, so we'll watch that closely. And the globe as a whole, western hemisphere here, much more widespread light blue color, indicating possible development. But it's on the low end here. We don't see any oranges or reds. And in the western Pacific, central Pacific, we have a tropical storm here well to the east of Japan, and then another one that has made landfall over China. It's been a fairly active season in the western Pacific, especially for the far western Pacific, where typhoons have come in succession, especially into mainland China. Looking at the vertical wind shear out in the tropical Atlantic, this is one of the things that can affect 92L's future. The climatological average is the black line, and we're running just a little bit below average. So wind shear really not a factor right now. And however, vertical instability, the simplest way to look at this is the ability of the atmosphere to produce thunderstorms or uplift or convection, very low right now. There's the current, prognosis, if you will, or the current conditions versus the climatological average there. And here we're below average, which in this case is a negative for development. If we go back one frame to the vertical wind shear, when this is below normal, or right at normal, or average is what we should say, then this sort of gets a check mark. This is positive for development, where when vertical instability is lower than the climatological average, this is a negative for development, which is good news for people who might be in the path of these storms. Looking at the Caribbean, vertical wind shear here, kind of hard to tell, but it is right there, this graph coming down the plot. So it's pretty close to average, so you got to get a little bit of a check mark there that the Caribbean is favorable for development overall. But vertical instability here, well below the climatological average, so this gets a big minus. And it's because of this layer of dry air, the stable air mass in place. It's like putting a little bit of water into your gasoline tank of your car. Just a little bit, it can cause a lot of problems, and this dry air does cause a lot of problems for tropical cyclones, as we saw, especially with Ernesto having a very difficult time getting going until it reached just before landfall. Then it stayed pretty vigorous even as it went across the Bay of Campeche here. It may try to get across and develop again in the eastern Pacific. We'll see. If it does, it would get the H name out there because we have Gilma, the G storm or hurricane now. This, by the way, going to be heading out into colder water. This pretty much a non-issue. Its chances of development are diminishing. So that is a look at the tropics for today. Again, Thursday, the 9th of August, 2012. I am Mark Sudduth, my website, hurricanetrack.com. As always, a pleasure to produce these videos for you, for your Hurricane and Hurricane HD apps, and I'll have another one for you tomorrow.